All right. So, Matt, Michael is an artist and he goes to an artistic school. So I have met some photographers there at his school. And I realized photographers are very violent people. And I didn't know this. But first, they frame you, then they shoot you, and then they hang you on the wall.
It sounds like a T-shirt a photographer would wear.
Right. Hey, if there's one looking, I'll make you that shirt. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Graveyard. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Adam.
And my name's Matt.
Now, pull up a tombstone or settle into your casket and get comfortable because this is Graveyard Tales. All right, everybody, here we are again. Matt, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing good.
Good. So we'll say real quick before we get into it, go over to patreon.com/Graveyard Tales. Sign up to become a patron if you aren't already. And if you aren't, go in our Facebook group and ask the people that are in there that are patrons how they like the Patreon content. Because I promise you, there's going to be something on there that you will enjoy no matter what level you choose to join. We have a 1, 5, and a 10. All the tiers get a bonus episode a week. Doesn't matter what tier you join, you get a bonus episode, shorter than our main episodes, but they vary. Sometimes they'll be tangential to a main episode. Sometimes they're just kind of in the realm of what we talk about. Sometimes they're way off base, and it's just something Matt and I found interesting. So you get that. If you join 5 or 10, then you will get the audio and video ad-free versions of the main episodes plus the bonus episode. If you join the 10, you get all of that. Plus, you get our second show, Side Quest, which Matt and I enjoy the heck out of doing. You get to see a different side of me and Matt. And we've been doing, we play games on there. We show weird random videos on there. Matt does trivia against me and makes me look like a fool. And I have gotten into telling Matt about some interesting survival stories that the person should not have survived, but they do somehow. And so we're covering all of that on our side quest for our $10 patrons. So go patreon.com/Graveyard Tales, and I promise there's going to be something you like. Also, go into our show notes, click the link, go over to our sponsors' websites. You help us out by checking them out and getting something from them because it shows that we have had an impact and they will come back and sponsor another episode. Right. And our patrons and our sponsors are what allows Matt and I to keep doing this show and to keep it free because there's a lot of cost that you incur doing an independent show. And so by helping out our sponsors, you help out Graveyard Tales tremendously. And we appreciate it when they come back. Also, share the show. If you got somebody that doesn't listen to Graveyard Tales, go tie them up, hog tie them, put some earbuds in their ears and force them to listen. No, I'm kidding. Just tell them about Graveyard Tales and have them check us out. We grow by word of mouth and we appreciate it so very much when we see our downloads have increased because you guys have spread the word of Graveyard Tales and they join our Facebook group or one of our social media groups. And it makes us feel good.
Yep, it sure does.
So on that note, Matt, since I have apparently begged on my knees for a lot of things from our listeners,
we got all the pitches in. So.
All the pitches. That's my job in the first few minutes is to pitch everything I can pitch the fastball. So why don't you tell us, Matt, what are we talking about tonight, brother?
Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about a place that Adam and I we've kind of gone back and forth about doing this, and we weren't really sure how to lay it out, but we got that figured out. So now you get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I asked AI, I said, is this the weirdest place on planet Earth? And it came up and it says, a lot of people feel like this is the weirdest place on Earth.
Yeah. Certainly
if you're
seems
wondering,
that way.
you're like, where the hell are they talking about? We're talking about Antarctica. And you think, okay, Graveyard Tales is going to talk about Antarctica. It's not a geography lesson, okay? The stuff that goes on in Antarctica, beyond being bizarre in some cases, it doesn't happen anywhere else on the planet.
Right.
It is completely isolated to this one continent. You know, things that occur there, you don't find anywhere else. And because of its they said that it has the most extreme conditions of anywhere on the planet. It is the highest, the driest, and the coldest, and the windiest of all the continents.
Yep.
Put all that together, and it sucks, man. I mean, you know.
Right.
I'm telling you, it is, everything about Antarctica says you don't belong here.
Not for human consumption.
Yeah. There's no indigenous human population. There's no natural land connections. So, I mean, and being as remote and in this harsh environment, it has stayed in isolation for millions of years. So that's why scientists want to study it. But things that they have discovered, things that they have experienced, go far beyond the norm.
Right.
And so we're going to talk tonight about some of the weird geological things. We're going to talk about some of the unique geography. We're going to talk about paranormal things that go on down there. Everything from, you know, cryptids to UFOs to ghosts. So this is going to be a good one. And we think you're going to enjoy it. So Adam,
yeah, I really do.
Let's start talking about Antarctica.
All right. So as we always say, go check our sources. We have a buttload of sources this time because we got a buttload to talk about. Yeah. But everything we talk about, we have sourced and referenced in our show notes down at the bottom. You can go check that out. Check out where we found all the information. Now, Matt, I didn't put this in my notes because it just popped into my head again right now for some reason. So I'm going to bring it up. You and I have talked about this, but we haven't talked about it on mic. So one of the things that I have talked about wanting to do an episode on, this may lead into that. There is theories of continental shift.
You're right, yeah.
And Antarctica is the continent that they talk about.
Oh, yeah.
When they talk about fast-moving continents.
It is a shifty person.
It is. So this may lead into another episode that tangentially refers to Antarctica. But I just thought about that while you were talking. Now, like Matt said, Antarctica has always had an air of mystery to it. It's, for everybody, as soon as the human population figured out there was a continent down there and it was frozen, they have been intrigued by it. Antarctica is the southernmost and the fifth largest continent on Earth. It's almost entirely covered by a vast ice sheet, and the average thickness of this ice is 1.9 kilometers thick. That's the average.
1.9 kilometers.
Yeah. Imagine if Tennessee was covered with 1.9 kilometers of ice. You wouldn't see anything. It would be just a flat nothingness. You'd go,
exactly.
Did people live here? And I just see a big block of ice. Now, it spans about 14 million square kilometers or 5.4 million square miles. It makes it roughly half the size of the United States. And like Matt said, it's also the coldest, driest, and windiest continent, holding 60 to 90% of the world's fresh water frozen in its ice. So, I mean, I'm just saying, if you're thirsty, go to Antarctica, man. Chip you off some ice cubes and thaw them out. And 60 to 90% of the world's fresh water just on this one continent.
And that seems crazy, but I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's wild. Antarctica is an ancient landmass, and it's undergone, incredible transformations over millions of years. Before it became a frozen desert, after the Ice Age, Antarctica was actually a warm region with rainforest and possibly even civilizations. Possibly. The theory developed from the discovery of fossilized wood, signs of tropical trees, and leaf impressions that show the existence of a rainforest in Antarctica. So they have found, fossilized wood and stuff there to prove that Antarctica wasn't always just a frozen desert. Mm-hmm. It wasn't always just a big chunk of ice. At one point, there were, animals living there, big plants growing, and then it broke away from Gondwana and became Antarctica as it floated south. But scientists have also found a ton of fossils from marine animals, birds, and dinosaurs from the Cretaceous period. So we know for a fact there were dinosaurs and birds living there around the Cretaceous period. Yeah. Now, among the smaller species, they've uncovered the fossilized forewings of a beetle species that lived between 14 and 20 million years ago during its warmer climates, and tiny single-celled fossils that have been a great source of debate among scientists, they say. They've also found 50 million year old sperm cells on the egg case of a long extinct species of worms. And the reason I bring that up is because they say it's an extraordinary discovery that scientists hope will lead to new evolutionary information. So, the freezing of the continent helps preserve a lot of stuff.
And, there's a lot of people, I mean, you think about it, they found sperm cells.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that worry that they're going to discover some type of ancient virus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're going to accidentally unice this thing, thaw it out, and then it's going to run rampant and wipe out humanity. I can't say that that's not going to happen.
Right. Right.
I can't even say that it's not a possibility, because if you think, well, they found sperm cells.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are studying now, microorganisms that they are finding down there that don't exist anywhere else. And you think, what, a virus is a microorganism?
Yep. And viruses can be sturdy. Like, sperm cells are a very weak cell. They die quickly.
Yeah.
They're not known to hibernate and then be re-energized. Viruses can. We know that. They can go into suspended animation, and then when climate becomes temperate for them, optimal for their reproduction, the virus will reproduce. So, yeah, it's highly possible that we get something out of it that we probably shouldn't. But that's a debate for a Patreon, I think. The current landscape of Antarctica is marked by extremes. Now, the average coastal temperatures are around 14 degrees Fahrenheit, but inland temperatures can plummet below negative 112 degrees Fahrenheit.
I can't even, my brain won't even compute that.
No. I know what positive 112 degrees Fahrenheit feels like. I've lived through that. I am in Texas after all, but I can't imagine negative 112 degrees Fahrenheit.
I remember watching a documentary about a group of researchers that were in Antarctica, and they were talking about how dangerous it is to just open the door.
Yeah.
There, times of the year when, they said your skin would just freeze.
Yeah.
Almost instantly. I can't even understand how that is possible, but if you had any skin exposed, it would freeze or even burn from the extreme cold.
Yep.
So,
those research facilities, a lot of them have the dual door system, like an air hatch that you would have on a spaceship, so that you don't open the door and it just blasts cold air into the living quarters.
Yeah.
All right. So, Matt, you know that I'm always trying to better myself as a paranormal researcher and better myself in talking to eyewitnesses and stuff like that. And it was difficult for me to figure out how to do that. But then we found Masterclass. And one of the classes in there is Think Like an FBI Profiler by John Douglas.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who John Douglas is, he's the Mindhunter guy.
Yeah.
So Thinking Like an FBI Profiler class has really helped me when looking at paranormal witnesses, UFO witnesses, judging the credibility of it, and just being able to read the person a lot better. And I have seen personal growth in that aspect of our research and of our job. And just as a fun hobby, the other class that I found was Texas Style Barbecue by Aaron Franklin. And look, I'm in Texas. I love to barbecue. So what would be better than a Texas Style Barbecue class to give me some lifelong learning on how to do this properly and how to impress all of my Texas friends with my food being better than their food.
And look at the range there. FBI profiler to Texas barbecue.
Right.
With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. With plans starting at $10 a month, billed annually, you get unlimited access to over 200 classes taught by the world's best business leaders, writers, chefs, and more. And the classes really make a difference. 3 in 4 surveyed members feel inspired every time they watch Masterclass. Plus, every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk.
That's amazing.
Right now, our listeners get an additional 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/graveyard. That's GRAVEYARD.
That's right. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/graveyard. GRAVEYARD. Masterclass.com/graveyard.
Yeah, you can't even breathe air that cold.
No, no. God, it's beyond comprehension to me. Now, let's look at some geography and some of the physical features. Now, almost 98% of Antarctica is covered in glacier ice, some parts more than 4 kilometers thick, and it flows from the center toward the sea, where massive icebergs will fall off into the Southern Ocean. So, as we know, as most of you I'm sure know, glaciers are not static. Glaciers move. Mm-hmm. And so, as the glaciers move, they move outward, and then big chunks of this glacier will just break off into the sea, and then you've got, ice in your tea glass floating around. The highest point on there is Vinson Massif, in the Ellsworth Mountains. It towers 16,050 feet above sea level, and it's the highest peak on the continent. So quite a huge range from lows to highs, because I'll also talk about the lowest point in Antarctica here soon. Now, the Trans-Antarctic Mountains, stretching from Victoria Land to the Ross Sea, divide the continent into East and West Antarctica, and they're among the world's longest mountain chains. And despite all the ice, Antarctica is considered the world's largest desert to the extremely low precipitation rates.
There's a trivia question right there for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know, where is the largest desert on Earth?
Yeah. Most people do not think, and I just had this conversation recently, most people, when they think of deserts, they think of dry, hot environments, not dry, cold environments, because they assume if it's cold and there's ice there, there must be precipitation. No, it's too cold to precipitate. Now, there are isolated mountain peaks called nunataks protrude above the ice, and this has the effect of causing a dramatic windswept island of rock look to the area. Now, there are a lot of wild natural phenomena around Antarctica. So let's look at a few of those. One of those, which probably a lot of people know if they have looked into Antarctica at all, is Blood Falls. Now, Blood Falls is located in Taylor Glacier in the McMurdo Dry Valleys, East Antarctica. Now, it is a 5-story tall, red-colored plume of liquid that seeps out of the glacier, and it stains the ice below it. It was first discovered in 1911 by Australian geologist Griffith Taylor, and so they named the glacier after him. But he thought initially the red color was due to red algae. But
that would make sense.
Yeah.
There's red lakes that are due to red algae. So.
Right. So, I mean, it's a good theory, but he was wrong. The water is extremely salty and rich in iron. So when the iron-rich, oxygen-free water finally reaches the surface and below ground and it not in contact with oxygen, well, it reaches the surface and it hits the oxygen in our atmosphere, the iron oxidizes as rusty metal would, and then it turns this vivid red color. So it's literally rusty water bleeding out of a glacier. Now, the source of this water is a subglacial lake sealed beneath Taylor Glacier from 1.5 to 2 million years ago. So this lake has been capped off besides this one little spot that it seeps out of the glacier for 1.5 to 2 million years. Now, it's trapped about 1,300 feet below the ice. And despite freezing surface temperatures, the water remains liquid because it's so full of salt that it lowers the freezing point of the water, and the ice above it insulates it, and the geothermal heat from the Earth's core warms it slightly. So it stays liquid despite being that far under the ice.
Yeah, and it's like its own ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are microorganisms that are present there that have learned to thrive with no light.
Right. In the salty environment.
Yeah, and they actually somehow process the iron content in the water. But it's just, again, like I said, totally bizarre. Snails living in volcanoes. It's crazy,
Right. Now, told you we'd talk about the lowest point. Well, let's talk about the coldest place on Earth. It's also in Antarctica. It's the East Antarctic Plateau, especially Dome Fuji and Dome Argus. And it actually holds the title of the coldest place on Earth. And they say it's not even close. This is where the temperature drops to an inhuman level. It's colder than dry ice, and it's even colder than parts of Mars. If you can imagine that. Now,
I'm looking at this. Okay, so dry ice is at a constant negative 78.5 degrees Celsius, which is 109.3 Fahrenheit.
Right.
So that's dry. So you think about that.
Yeah.
How cold that is. And it's colder than that.
Yeah, that you touch dry ice and you can actually freeze your skin. You can burn it.
Blister, yeah.
Yep. So you just go walk into this place and you will regret that you stumbled in this area.
Yeah.
Now, why is it so cold? Well, it's so cold because of its extreme elevation. The plateau is at really high altitudes. Dome Fuji is at 12,500 feet, and Dome Argus is at 13,428 feet. It's one of the highest points on the continent. Well, the higher elevation means a thinner atmosphere, which means less heat is trapped in that particular area. And cold air sinks and pools in the low spots on those domes. So it further lowers the surface temperature. There's also a lack of sunlight there because of polar night. So during the Antarctic winter, which is May to August, think about how long that is. The region is in complete darkness for those months. So no sunlight, you're not getting any warming from that. And even in the summer, the sun barely rises above the horizon. So it provides very minimal heat to the area, even when the sun is out. Now, the air there is dry as a bone, they say. It's one of the driest places on Earth. So moisture and cloud cover normally will trap warmth at night, the greenhouse effect, but there's no insulation here. So none of that heat gets trapped, and cold air just radiates into space because there's not enough atmosphere to keep it in that spot. So it gets cold. Now, the area is isolated from any heat source like ocean water or anything like that. No geothermal, no nothing. So the ice here acts basically like a heat sink for the universe. Now, the coldest temperatures ever recorded on Earth was negative 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit, measured at Vostok Station in July of 1983. And that Vostok is near Dome Fuji. And negative 133.6 degrees measured by a satellite over Dome Argus in 2010. Now, they say this is not officially recognized as ground-based records, but it's still the real temperature there. So it reached all the way down to negative 133.6 degrees Fahrenheit on Dome Argus. I can't imagine. One of the other weird things, this one I have heard about, but didn't. This isn't something that pops into my head often, Matt, is brinicles. Have you ever heard of
I've
a
heard
brinicle?
the term, yeah.
Okay. They're also called icy fingers of death.
Much scarier name.
Now, it's a rare underwater phenomena found beneath sea ice in Antarctica and other polar regions, but it is a hollow, downward growing tube of ice that forms when extremely cold, salty brine escapes from cracks in the overlying sea ice and it descends into the ocean below. So as sea ice forms, it expels most of its salt, concentrating dense, supercooled brine in a small channel within the ice. Now, when cracks occur in the ice, this brine drains into the sea below, where it's much colder and saltier than the surrounding seawater. Now, because the dense brine is colder than the freezing point of seawater, it remains liquid and it sinks downward. Well, as it moves, the surrounding nearly freezing seawater instantly freezes on contact with the descending brine, creating a hollow icicle of ice, the brinicle. which grows downward like an inverted chimney. Now, barnacles can grow several meters long, reaching even the sea floor in shallow waters. Their growth continues as long as the brine flows, and the tube is insulated by its own ice walls, which thicken over time. When a barnacle reaches the ocean floor, the spilling brine can freeze anything it touches, including starfish, sea urchins, anything, encasing them in ice. That's why they're called the icy fingers of death. And if it were going down and a fish swam into this barnacle, the fish would freeze instantly in the barnacle.
That's insane. And you can actually look up footage of these things occurring.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if this is like, you know, the those experiments, like the Mr. Wizard thing, where they do something and they make this thing freeze immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they do that, like
the super cooled Coke in the freezer.
Yeah.
Where then you crack the bottle and pour it out, and it turns into slush.
Yeah.
When it gets
something
in your
like
glass.
That.
Yeah, very similar to that. Yeah.
But it's crazy to watch these things. It's almost like somebody captured slow motion lightning or something.
Mm-hmm. It's really weird, but it doesn't happen all over the place. So it's just crazy. Now, let's move to Lake Vostok. Now, this lake was first uncovered in 1970 with radars, and there are estimated to be around 400 lakes sitting under 1.86 miles of ice. Now, scientists believe the lakes were formed after the separation of Antarctica from Gondwana land, which was the ancient supercontinent. And the lakes don't freeze because of the pressure from the weight of the ice sheet. Now, Lake Vostok is the largest known subglacial lake in Antarctica and one of the largest freshwater lakes on Earth. It lies under about 2.5 miles of ice in East Antarctica, directly beneath Russia's Vostok Station. So Vostok Station is sitting right on top of this 2.5 miles of ice. They better hope it doesn't crack.
Right.
That I would move that station if I know I'm sitting on a lake.
I know. I guess they just figure maybe it won't.
At 2.5 miles of ice, it won't break or whatever. But man, crazy things happen. You know, I'd move that to where I know they're solid.
That's what I'm getting at. It's thick enough that, you know, theoretically you can imagine it will never do this. But as much weird crap as goes on down there, it's
Right.
naturally occurring.
Right.
We're kind of like, are we 100% sure this isn't just going to form a giant crevasse and swallow our ass? I mean, you know, come on.
Right. I would be worried about that every second of the time I was there, let alone everything else I got to worry about.
That's right.
Now, the lake is about 160 miles long and up to 30 miles wide, with a surface area of 4,830 square miles and an average depth of 1,300 feet. It's a huge lake.
Deep.
The volume is approximately 1,300 cubic miles of water. Now, Lake Vostok has been sealed beneath the Antarctic ice for at least 15 million years and possibly up to 20 million, which creates complete isolation from the outside world and sunlight. And it's like Matt was talking about the other lake. Now, the lake temperature is about 27 degrees Fahrenheit due to the pressure from the ice above and geothermal heat from the Earth's interior. Now, the overlying ice provides significant insulation, making the bottom of the lake relatively warm compared to the frigid surface above. So that's odd. It gets warmer as you go deeper instead of colder like we're used to with water. Now, despite total darkness, high pressure, about 350 atmospheres, and a lack of surface nutrients, researchers have found evidence of microbial life. Studies of accreted ice from the lake have revealed thousands of unique gene sequences, including bacteria, fungi, and archaea, organisms that thrive in extreme environments. and even genetic traces suggesting the presence of fish and other eukaryotes, saying there might be an entirely unique ecosystem in this lake. They don't know because they can't get to it, but doing genetic testing on ice that's come up, they've got genes, genetic traces, DNA from these things that say, hey, there could be fish living in this lake that's been sealed off for 15 million years. Now, the lake lies in deep bedrock, and it's replenished continuously by meltwater from the overlying ice. So the water in Lake Vostok is replaced roughly every 13,000 years as the ice above slowly moves, melts, and refreezes. So the water is super saturated with oxygen and nitrogen. They say it contains up to 50 times as much dissolved gases as ordinary freshwater lakes, resulting from the pressure of the ice covering it. Now, Lake Vostok is a key focus for astrobiology, as extreme and isolated environment is thought to provide analogies to potential life on icy moons like Europa and Enceladus. So that's all I could think about when I was doing this was, you got this lake, and then we know Jupiter's moons, at least one of them is covered in ice, but there's water underneath it. Mm-hmm. So if we've got life in this lake, why would we think there could not be life at all on that moon? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it is when you say something about life on Mars, everybody thinks it's just like somebody like you or I just walking around.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's not really what we're talking about. That'd be cool as hell. But I mean, these microorganisms, that exist in these oddball places under extreme conditions here on Earth, science is saying, look, if it's happening here, we see an ice-covered moon and we think, well, there's no way humans could ever inhabit that. But that doesn't mean that life couldn't exist there.
Right.
If there's water, then you got to believe if it happens here, it could happen there.
Right.
I don't think we're going to be attacked by millions of microorganisms. They're little tiny spaceships coming.
Yeah, we hope.
Yeah.
They might, but I mean, if I saw millions of tiny little spaceships coming at me, I'd be just as scared as one big one.
What if that was what the flu was? It's microorganisms from another planet.
Yeah, on their spaceships. And
yeah. And that's why you get that weird looking spidery looking picture of a virus when you see a diagram.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
It's actually a
spaceship.
tiny sea spider.
A microscopic spaceship.
So another lake that's there is Deep Lake. It's an inland lake in East Antarctica that has fascinated scientists for years. The lake sits 55 meters below sea level, with water salinity increasing as it gets deeper. Its salty waters are comparable to the Dead Sea and are 10 times saltier than the ocean. This means the water does not freeze despite temperatures reaching -4 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's at its deepest point.
So the water wouldn't freeze, but you would.
You sure would, yeah. Yep. The dry suits the divers wear would not do you any good in this.
They'd freeze too. And then you'd be like locked in this little
The lake is practically inhabitable, they say, with one of the least productive yet most remarkable ecosystems in the world. Scientists have found 4 microbe species living in the waters, although it's dangerous for most other animals. They have seen some penguins swimming in that water, but they can easily die because the lake is so much colder than the ocean. So, don't know how they survived it. Now, obviously, it's not -4 on the surface.
Right.
But, if they dive too deep, you'll just see a penguin sickle come floating up.
What would they possibly go any deeper for? I mean,
I don't know.
If you look at penguins, it's almost like penguins have one thing on their mind. Fish.
Mm-hmm.
Fish. And there's no fish down there. Well, there's no reason for us to go. You know?
Exactly. Now, Matt, let's talk about one of the worst things.
Man.
One of the worst things that I have ever heard about in my entire life, sea spiders. I hate spiders.
I can't. I just, yeah,
I know.
It's awful.
Yeah, just look up Antarctic sea spiders while we're talking about it, and you'll hate it as much as I do. Now, sea spiders, which are abundant and uniquely adapted marine arthropods, but they're not true arachnids. They're still nasty. Antarctic sea spiders are particularly renowned for their exceptional size and their remarkable biology, they say. Now, in Antarctic waters, sea spiders can reach leg spans of up to 27 inches. That's a lot larger than their cousins in other temperate oceans.
Right. Adam, let's take a minute and talk about one of tonight's sponsors, Undies. You know, we went down to the river. That sounds funny. We went down to the river. No, we took a trip down to visit Amanda's family down on the Tennessee River. We were out on the boat. We went and we did some shooting, and we had a big cookout. You know, the one thing that was constant through all of that is it was hot.
Sure.
It was so hot. But I was wearing Undies.
Oh, you were good then.
Yeah. So I didn't have that swampy mess down there in my shorts. I was cool. You know, no bat winging, none of that stuff. I mean, I felt really good. In fact, you know, Amanda's brother goes, what kind of underwear have you got on under there? And I was like, it's Undies, man. You need to get on board and get Undies. They are unbelievably comfortable. They are unbelievably breathable, and they stay cool even when it's 90 plus degrees outside, and you every part of your body feels like it's about to melt.
Oh, yeah.
But down there, you feel great.
I know. And you're absolutely right. Here in Texas, it gets 100 and something degrees, and everything is uncomfortable except my crotch region. It feels great. And MeUndies has a cut for every butt with over 20 different styles in 100 different colors and prints. MeUndies' signature super soft micromodal fabric is breathable, stretchy, and oh so comfortable, making it ideal for all-day wear. If you need something even more breathable and summer-proof, check out the Breathe line, which has moisture-wicking and anti-odor technology, perfect for working out or just keeping you extra cool on those sweltering Texas days, or any state. Y'all all get hot. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They use sustainably sourced materials and work with partners that care for their workers. If you're not happy with your first pair of MeUndies, guess what? It's on MeUndies. Where else can you find that?
You can't.
So right now, as a listener of Graveyard Tales, you can score sizzling summer deals like up to 50% off at MeUndies.com/graveyard and enter our promo code GRAVEYARD, GRAVEYARD.
That's MeUndies.com/graveyard using our promo code GRAVEYARD, GRAVEYARD, for up to 50% off. MeUndies, comfort that's made for summer.
But they call this phenomena polar gigantism, and it's thought to be linked to the cold, oxygen-rich environment that allows animals to get a lot bigger than other places. About 20% of the world's 1,300 plus sea spider species are found in Antarctic regions. I didn't know sea spiders were a thing. But
I know.
They are nasty. They live mostly on the seafloor, sometimes at extreme depths of over 2,000 meters. Now, sea spiders typically have a small, thin body and very long, spindly, nasty-looking legs. Some species have as many as 6 pair of legs, but most of them have 4 pairs of legs. They don't have lungs or gills. Instead, they absorb oxygen directly through pores in their exoskeleton, mainly via their legs. And they are predators and scavengers. So their diet mainly consists of the bodily fluids of marine invertebrates like sea anemones, sponges, and sea urchins, which they suck out using a long proboscis. Just think of that. You're down there, and the sea spider lands on you, and he starts sucking your internal juices. It's disgusting. It's bad enough that we have them on land. You got to have them in the sea too.
I'm never gonna experience a sea spider.
Me either.
But knowing that they exist kind of creeps me out a little bit.
Makes me want to go in the water less. Now, there's a phenomenon in Antarctica that's known as singing ice, and it refers to the unique, haunting sounds produced by the Ross Ice Shelf in Antarctica. They call them songs, and the songs are actually low-frequency seismic vibrations created as winds blow across the rippled surface of the ice shelf. So they buried sensors under about 2 meters of the ice, and as the wind moves over the ice, it causes the ice to vibrate, kind of like you would, like the reed of a clarinet or saxophone. So you're blowing wind across it, it's vibrating. Mm-hmm. Now, the vibrations produce a continuous set of seismic tones, or what they call humming, at frequencies far too low for the human ear to detect. But they sped them up and by about 1,200 times, which made them audible to the human ear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you can actually go online. There's a link in our sources, in our show notes, to listen to the singing ice if you're interested. So go give it a listen. Check it out. Now, the last thing I'm going to touch on are green flashes. And if you've ever watched Pirates of the Caribbean with Johnny Depp, and you will have heard of the green flash, but not quite the same thing as in that.
And I thought that was like a Marvel, like a multiverse character, the Green Flash.
Well, yeah, he could be. He could be the weird cousin of Flash.
Yeah, there's another universe with the Green Flash and the Red Lantern. So.
Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be cool. Now, the green flash is a rare optical phenomenon that you can see sometimes in Antarctica, most often during clear sunsets and sunrises over the horizon. The phenomenon occurs when the atmosphere acts as a prism, and it spreads the sunlight out into its component colors. And just as the sun dips below or rises above the horizon, the very last visible sliver may momentarily turn a vivid green or a blue-green. So as it starts to go down, the last little bit, it'll go boom, and it's green. And it's really cool. I've seen video of it, but it'd be really cool to see in person. The atmosphere actually bends the sunlight, separating the light into the different colors like a prism does. And because green light is refracted more than red or orange, the last glimpse of the sun can appear green, while the other colors are already obscured over the horizon. Usually the green flashes last for just a second or two, but under polar conditions where you've got strong atmospheric inversion, the green rim or flash can persist much longer. And you can get variant colors. They got green rims, green rays. They've got a mirage kind of looking flash. So if you didn't know what was going on and you were one of the first people to explore Antarctica and you saw that, I mean, can you imagine what you'd think? The sun is supposed to be orange and red. And as it's going down in this weird continent, you get this big flash of green.
Yeah. Or UFOs or alien life, which is a good segue into what I'm going to discuss, which is all of the strange paranormal phenomena that go on there. But a lot of it, and I mean a lot of it, is explained by science. Not all of it, but a lot of it. But we're going to talk about that. I've got some theories on this.
All right. Theorify me.
Let's start talking about some of the haunted areas that are in Antarctica, like Ross Island. Now, Ross Island is home to the scientific base McMurdo Station. And Ross Island is also the site of a devastating plane crash that killed 257 people in 1979.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, now visitors claim to have heard ghostly footsteps and voices in the darkness. And there have been plenty of ghost encounters experienced over the years. There have even been sightings of flight victims wandering the frigid landscape.
Wow.
Eerie moaning, voices, and footsteps have all been heard around the station. Now, I know a lot of skeptics are going to go, if you are spending time in a base in Antarctica, you are going to begin to hear and see things that are not there. Yeah. I totally get that, and I can 100% get behind that theory, but there are always going to be, stories that you can't just chalk up to, well, this person's going stir crazy. They've been down there too long.
Right.
Because there's going to be a story from somebody that's there like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes, did you see this line of people walking away?
Yeah.
Now? Look out there. You can see them.
They just got there and they're seeing it the first night. Yeah. It's not always because you're going crazy.
It's like that scene from Ghostbusters, they call and they were like, the dock, they call from the Port Authority and it's like, the Titanic just arrived. And it's like this ghost ship and all these drowned ghosts are like walking off onto the shore. Yeah. That's what I picture in my head. This must look like.
Yeah. But with a plane instead of a ship. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the next one is Scott's Hut, which I love it because the name Scott's Hut makes me think there's a dude named Scott that built a hut down there. Or it's like a pizza chain or like a fried chicken chain. Hey, come in at Scott's Hut, Yeah.
I didn't call out, order pizza from Scott's Hut. And
2 locations to serve you in the greater Antarctic area.
Your pizza delivered in under 4 hours because it's Antarctica.
Yeah.
Or it's free.
Yeah. Comes to you frozen.
Mm-hmm.
We swear we cooked it before it went out the door.
The only pizza joint that it starts fresh and hot and ends up frozen.
Yeah, exactly. But Scott's Hut, it's not a pizza joint.
Bummer.
It is located at Cape Evans, and it is said to be heavily haunted by the souls of perished explorers. In 1911, 25 men overwintered in the hut.
Good grief.
And it was here that Sir Robert Scott and his men departed on their ill-fated journey to the South Pole. Some visitors have said that just stepping foot in the hut brings this feeling of dread, and others have seen shadowy figures and heard misplaced noises. A cross that was erected nearby in memory of the members of the Ross Sea Party who died not far from the hut seems to draw wandering spirits. So you got a spirit that's wandering around Antarctica. Oh, there's a cross, and they just kind of migrate to it.
Moth to a flame.
That's the first I've ever heard of something like that. Like a cross being considered a magnet for spirit activity. But
Spirit magnet.
This is what they say. And you see now why it's called Scott's Hut. You know, Sir Robert Scott, who
go to
was
Scott's
an
Hut and buy a
explorer.
spirit magnet.
Yeah, and yeah. Now, the next place and spirit we're going to talk about has to do with Ernest Shackleton.
Yeah.
And we've talked about Ernest Shackleton on this show. If you go back and listen to that, but we'll get to that in a second. Shackleton's Hut, which is on Ross Island, which I mentioned.
They got to come up with new names. Everything's a hut.
A hut.
Yeah. Scott's Hut, Shackleton's Hut.
Well, you got to work fast. You don't have time to really build a decent domicile. You know, it's so damn cold. You got to get out of the cold.
Shackleton's Adobe would be nice, but
or Igloo. You know,
yeah, something.
Shackleton's Igloo. Like, I don't know if I want to go there. But Shackleton's Hut is on Ross Island, and it is supposed to be loaded with paranormal activity. So, famed explorer Sir Edmund Hillary claims to have seen Shackleton's ghost there. Now, Hillary said, I remember when I first went to Shackleton's Hut, and I'm not a person who really sees things very much, but I went inside the door. When I opened the door, it's a rather sort of bare hut inside, but I distinctly saw Shackleton walking towards me and welcoming me, and then it all sort of flashed away and he was gone.
That's weird.
Yeah. But this is considered a historic monument, and they say the hut is incredibly well preserved. And if you go there, people say that this is definitely a place you should visit. But
no.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I don't know how. I have a patient who went to Antarctica, did like the Antarctic cruise thing. So it is possible, but I don't know, you know, if there's a tour group that goes by Shackleton's Hut.
No, and see, I don't like I don't like cruises anyway, and then that would not be a port of call that I would want to get off at and go wander around and experience the local nightlife. You know what I mean?
If you look to the right, you'll see Ross Island and the ghost of Ernest Shackleton waving to you.
To the left is a penguin. We call him Carl.
But we did talk about Ernest Shackleton in our episode about the third man phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
And the third man is named after Ernest Shackleton's 1916 Antarctic expedition, where it describes the sensation of an unseen, comforting presence accompanying people in life or death situations. Now, Shackleton was in a desperate 36-hour trek across South Georgia Island with two companions and reported the persistent feeling that a fourth person was traveling with them, providing hope, guidance, and strength as they struggled to survive in extreme conditions. And his team, if you've listened to that episode, they discovered that all three men had independently sensed this presence. You remember, Shackleton did not want to say anything. He was the leader. He didn't want to freak anybody out. He also didn't want his two companions to think he was losing his mind.
Right.
Now, the companion did not speak, but was vividly perceived by each person, and Shackleton called it a, quote, divine companion. Now, the phenomenon has since been reported by many other survivors of extreme danger and hardship, and is even referenced in T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland. While interpretations range from spiritual to psychological, meaning it's possibly a coping mechanism triggered by extreme stress, the third man phenomenon remains a striking and unexplained aspect of human endurance. And this is where it came from.
Yeah. Yep.
So if that is something that interests you and you haven't listened to our Third Man episode, go back and listen to it. We go into much more detail about it. We give some other examples, and we do discuss Shackleton's expedition in much more detail.
Yep. I thought it was a pretty cool episode. You know, I'm biased because I'm in it, but I thought it was a cool topic.
Now, let's talk about Wordy House. The British,
that's where I live.
Yeah, Wordy House. The British Graham Land Expedition, or the BGLE, established their base by constructing a hut. Here's another hut.
I know.
On Winter Island in 1935. When the BGLE hut was destroyed, Wordy House was erected on the same site. And that was in 1947. Wordy House is recognized as a historic site and monument. But people who visit Wordy House often describe it as having an unsettling, eerie atmosphere. That would be because it's in Antarctica.
Right.
Tales,
that's just that's just your environs, people.
Yeah, that's right. Tales abound of strange occurrences inside, like objects flying off shelves, doors slamming by themselves, and other unexplainable phenomena. Although the identity of any supposed ghosts remain unknown, the mysterious events experienced there continue to puzzle visitors. Now, intrigued by these reports of the supernatural, the team from the adventure series Destination Truth traveled to Wordy House to investigate. And during their overnight stay, they reported hearing a light switch being flicked repeatedly, doors slamming, and jar lids falling off of shelves. Team members also described us sensing a distinct presence inside the building, like they were not alone.
Yeah. Destination Truth is one of those shows that I wish I could watch now. I feel like most of the episodes when it was originally out.
Yeah.
And now I can't find it anywhere.
I know every once in a while you can find an individual episode streaming, or you can buy it.
Yeah.
But the full seasons,
I love that show.
You don't see them. Because I've tried.
Love that show, man.
But it is a great show. If you ever just happen to come across it, if you've got a streaming service that has it, check it out. It's a really not just informative show, but it's very entertaining. I mean, if this is
and also tell me where you found it.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know, because I've hunted down individual ones that people have put on YouTube or whatever. But you know, as far as getting like the actual show, you know, and the full seasons, I hadn't found it yet. This one, you'll love this one, Adam. Deception Island.
Oh.
Yeah, this one even sounds dangerous.
I would stay away from there.
Yeah. Now, the tales of ghosts hanging out at the abandoned huts and deserted whaling stations on Deception Island serve as a reminder of those who lived and died in the coldest, windiest, and driest place on Earth. Though the land can be unforgiving, ghosts exist on a plane that goes beyond our understanding. So visitors have claimed to see light orbs and apparitions and even hear voices. So plenty of ghost stories from this, remote area.
Yeah, you think there can't be ghosts because there's not a population of people living there.
Yeah.
Well, there can be.
Something has held on to them there. And who knows what the energy is like. I mean, you've got red falls and green flashes. I mean, come on. I mean, there's got to be some really bizarre energy there that could hold on to a spirit like that, or even just, this may be the ultimate stone tape.
Yeah, I was going to say we have talked several times about running water being a conduit for paranormal energy. What is an iceberg except frozen running water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's constantly moving.
Yeah.
And
mix it with salt and these underwater underground lakes and so forth. I mean, all bets are off.
Right.
Antarctica may be a gigantic spiritual battery. Who knows?
Who knows?
Now, along with the ghost, there have been several disappearances in Antarctica where people just seem to vanish. Which you think, okay, I can definitely see that happening in Antarctica.
They got hit by a brinacle and sucked dry by a sea spider.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, man, there's every time you walk out of whatever structure you're inside, there's a chance that you're not going to come back.
Right.
But one of these cases is very interesting, and it's the case of Carl Robert Dish. And he was a physicist with the U.S. National Bureau of Standards, who in the winter of 1965 was working out of Byrd Station in West Antarctica. On May 8th, he left his radio noise station, presumably to follow the hand line linking that structure with the main station complex that was 7,000 feet away.
If you need a hand line to get anywhere,
right,
you should not be there.
I was wondering if you was going to catch that. So
yeah.
How do you go from one place to the next? You have a cable attached to the door at one end that is tethered to the door at the opposite end.
Yeah, that way you don't get lost.
Hold on to it.
Yeah.
And you just never let go. And you just walk.
Don't even open your eyes because it's not going to do you any good.
No, you just hold on to this and follow the cable.
That's crap you do when you're caving, not when you're walking across a continent.
But my thought is, unless something attacked you, you're not going to let go.
Right.
I mean, you're just, you understand, if you've made it this far, if you are in Antarctica and you are actually doing a job, you 150% understand the dangers of the environment you're in. Yep. So you're not going to let go on purpose. You're not going to go, ooh, what's that? And just go wandering off. It's just, you're not going to do it.
There's no squirrels there to distract you. So,
and not only that,
squirrel.
Dish had done this many, many times before, but he never showed up at the main Byrd Station complex. Search parties picked up traces of footprints, which didn't show any unusual, like increased pace or a stride that made you believe that he was being chased by something.
Yeah.
Bad weather, which was underway when Dish set out from the radio noise station, hampered the search efforts, and no other trace of the young scientist was ever found. Memorial services were held in Antarctica as well as in Dish's hometown of Monroe, Wisconsin. And maybe the dark, blizzardy conditions caused Dish to lose his way along the hand line, but it doesn't seem like we'll ever know. It does seem really strange, though, that, there something must have happened. He got too cold, but then you would think they would have found him there.
He'd be right there. If he just died, he would be by the hand line.
If he died, if he went into cardiac arrest, he'd be right there. They would be able to find him.
Yep.
And I don't think, it would have been bad enough that, if he dropped down, it would have buried him because it would have buried the hand line.
Yep. Or blown him away or anything.
Now, one of the most popular things when it comes to the weirdness of Antarctica is the presence of pyramids.
Yeah. Yep.
I was really, really excited about digging into these pyramids. And then I was really, really disappointed with the explanation.
Yeah.
Because conspiracy theories, they come up with anything. But when when people on the internet in 2016 examined satellite images showing what appeared to be a pyramid in Antarctica that was large enough to be seen from outer space, that perks everybody up. And it made people start saying, was Antarctica a home to an ancient civilization?
Mm-hmm.
You know, did aliens come and build these pyramids? I mean, does this familiar shape that matches pyramids in other parts of the world in this strange, unfamiliar terrain have anything to do with the Pangea theory?
Yep.
You know, were these pyramids at one point attached to Africa or South America and broke off?
Mm-hmm.
And the land mass where they were, you know, floated down and became Antarctica or attached itself to whatever else was there.
Yep.
And grew. Those are all really good questions. And they're fun to think about. But according to scientists, the online sleuths did not find evidence of an advanced, ancient, possibly alien society. The pyramid-shaped point is actually one of several in the southern Ellsworth Mountains, which is a section of the Heritage Range named after American aviator Lincoln Ellsworth. From Patriot Hill's research base, you can see the now famous pyramid in Antarctica. And Eric Rigno says it's just a mountain that looks like a pyramid. And he is a professor of Earth System Science at the University of California, Irvine. He says it's nothing more than a mountain peak. And as a professor of environmental science, climate scientists and most geology experts worth their salt will tell you many peaks partially resemble human-built structures. Although rare, mountains that have developed right angles on one or two faces naturally are well documented. So, for example, this pyramid-shaped mountain likely developed from freeze-thaw erosion over hundreds of millions of years. 3 symmetrical faces eroded at the same rate, while the eastern ridge formed independently. But where's the fun in that?
I was going to say, what a buzzkill.
Yeah. And before you ask, yes, there are examples of this happening in Peru and in Canada and in Bulgaria, these naturally formed pyramids.
But are we sure they're natural?
That's what I said. What if this is just science's way of covering up the truth?
Yep.
That, holy crap, we really did find something that looks like a pyramid down here. Quick, tell them all it's a mountain.
Yep.
You know,
quick,
it's just
hide
a
the
mountain.
giant skeletons. Let's not.
Right.
Let's tell them they were never giants.
Right. Maybe this is like the swamp gas or the owl of Antarctica, you know?
Yep.
You
No,
know,
it's natural.
The lamest excuse ever.
Yeah. Well, and see, you know, we did the weird natural things in the beginning so that you would know, there's some weird natural stuff that happens here, but there's also some weird unnatural stuff that happens here. So I still think that even if this is not proof of life that used to live there, we're bound to find proof of, you know, humanoid life on Antarctica.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And they now believe that there were inhabitants way earlier than they thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are finding evidence that suggests that there were human inhabitants on Antarctica long before what we have thought forever.
Yep.
Was the time when humans actually were, you know, a part of Antarctica's history. But going from pyramids, because it just naturally goes to, Maybe it was aliens that did it. It brings us to the UFOs. Now, Antarctica has been associated with alleged UFO sightings for decades.
Sure.
Reports of unidentified flying objects flying across the skies have fueled speculation about extraterrestrial visitations. However, it says it's important to approach these claims with a critical eye because a lot of the sightings can be attributed to natural phenomena, atmospheric conditions, or misinterpretations, much like the green flash.
Yep.
You know, you see something like that, there's something in the sky, you're just kind of like, that's a UFO. I know, I just saw it. You know, I saw the green lights on it. Maybe.
Maybe.
You know, maybe you saw something totally normal.
But if you were an alien, wouldn't you want to potentially go to the least inhabited continent?
Well, yeah, and that's what it kind of gets into. You know, the idea that there is hidden alien bases or underground cities in Antarctica, because of its extreme isolation and harsh conditions, it would make it the ideal location for extraterrestrials to go to ensure that they don't encounter human beings.
Right.
But, you know, it does say there's no concrete evidence that has been presented to support these claims. Guess what? There's no concrete evidence to support a UFO in Arizona.
Right.
Okay? That doesn't mean people don't believe that it happened, or people didn't see what they saw. We just don't have any concrete evidence. So it doesn't completely poo-poo the idea that there could be UFOs that have visited Antarctica. It just kind of says we don't have any evidence. And of course, with a lot fewer people, you don't have as many. So my thought is, you get a lot fewer people and a bunch of reports. They're seeing something, okay?
Yeah.
You may can chunk some of them up to natural things, but maybe not all of them.
Right.
Now, there is an internet detective that shared images of what appears to be a massive alien face emerging from the snow at the South Pole, much like the face on Mars. Now, the Antarctic alien was discovered by a social media user who stumbled upon the image while browsing satellite pictures of the area on Google Earth. Now, when I go to Google Earth now, everything I see looks digitized. I don't, maybe my computer is not fast enough to get a high-res satellite image, but it almost looks like, it certainly doesn't look like what these images that have been posted by users that fool around on Google Earth. And I mean, I can look at my house and I can tell when the picture was taken based on what car is in the driveway.
Yep.
But it's, you know, it's kind of weird. I go to it. I don't see jack. I don't see anything but like digitized mountains and stuff. But these people,
and that may be your video card.
It could be, but I mean, you know, these people are actually capturing images of like faces in the snow, and if you look at that picture, it looks like a face. Now, is that a real picture? I'm not 100% sure, but they haven't fully debunked that face yet, and it does look very similar to the one on Mars. And I did read a comment in one of these articles where the person said, I want to know if there's ever a time when they line up with Mars. You know, like when the faces align, you know, there's like a extraterrestrial highway that opens up and they can travel back and forth.
Oh, the faces are looking at each other again.
That's right. Now, the image does seem to depict an extraterrestrial face with one half-closed eye, a nose, and a mouth that are clearly visible. The face was found in the southeast region of the continent, which is a barren area known as Oates Land, named after British explorer Lawrence Oates, who tragically died during the ill-fated Terra Nova expedition in 1912. The coordinates are available. I won't give them out here, but you can find the coordinates so that you can actually find the image. But the image itself is all over. So if you just Google the face in Antarctica, you'll find it. You'll find it a dozen times. And it is creepy. I think partially because it's white. It reminds me of one of those pale white plain masks you see at Halloween, you know. That's what it looks like, just laying right there. But that's kind of what the one on Mars looks like too. Now, going from UFOs, let's talk about something that is most likely natural, but has a UFO connection. And this is the Wilkes Land Gravity Anomaly. Now, a gravity anomaly is where there's a discrepancy between the predicted value of gravity at a particular site and what's actually observed there. And this was noted in northern Wilkes Land in East Antarctica back in the late 1950s. And it's been the subject of a lot of research and speculation since then. Now, much of the evidence suggests that this gravity anomaly, and this, what they call a mascon, which is an area of enhanced mass, meaning this place is more dense than they expect it to be. It reflects
like a lot of teenagers.
Yeah. It reflects the presence of a giant impact crater. It is more than 450 kilometers across, which is twice the size of the Chicxulub crater in Mexico. And scientists believe that the Chicxulub crater is the one from the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. Okay? So it's massive. This one is twice as big.
Jeez.
Now, they estimate it to be at 250 million years old. And they refer to it as the Wilkes Land Impact Crater. Not 100% sure that's exactly what it is, but that's what they call it. And it may be connected to the even more devastating end Permian mass extinction, which wiped out 90% of all marine and terrestrial life on the planet. So this was supposedly the worst mass extinction event in the history of the Earth.
Yeah.
You know, some 250 million years ago. This was almost like the reset button. Okay. 90% of life on the planet, marine and terrestrial life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that leaves very little room for coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there is some evidence that southern Australia encompasses a continuation of the Land Wilkes gravity anomaly. And it's also been theorized that the likely asteroid impact that produced the anomaly may have helped sunder Antarctica and Australia, which, of course, is once considered to be joined together as a part of the supercontinent Gondwana.
Yeah.
So, you know, people have thought for a long time Australia and Antarctica were connected. Boom. Giant asteroid hits, splits them apart.
Splits an entire continent.
Yeah.
Apart.
Yeah. And
Now
creates two.
Yeah. Now one's really cold and one's really hot.
Yeah. Now, some people believe, that there is a giant UFO underneath here. That's why. Why of the
I've heard
increased mass. Some say that it's a city underneath there, or it's a portal to the hollow earth.
I like that one.
Hollow earth, yeah.
I hadn't heard that one yet, but I like that one.
It's a whole different ballgame. But because we're talking about Antarctica this week, we are going to be doing a follow-up episode on our good friend Admiral Byrd. If you've wondered why they're not talking about Admiral Byrd, because he gets his own show. Okay?
Right.
the stuff that he talked about, we'd be here for another hour and a half. So he's going to get his own show. Now we get to the point in the show that is Adam's favorite, cryptids.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, there are reported cryptids in Antarctica.
Which is crazy.
I know. And one of the most common reports is that of the Ningen. It's either Ningen or Ningen. Have you heard of this one? Maybe you know how to say it correctly.
I feel like I've heard Ningen.
Okay. Ningen makes sense.Ningen.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go with Ningen. The Ningen has been described as being a humongous, blubbery whale-like creature whose smooth, pale form vaguely resembles the head, torso, and appendages of a human being.
Yeah, gross.
It's blubbery. It's a blubbery human, okay? And it's white. But that having been said, there are some eyewitnesses who have testified that it has a mermaid-like tail rather than two hind legs, and others who insist that there are what resembles hands, complete with 5 fingers at the end of its tendril-like arms.
Just weird looking.
It's really weird. Now, these beasts have supposedly been seen in the Pacific, the Antarctic, and the Atlantic Oceans, and are always described as being extraordinarily large with a whitish complexion. Many observers have also reported that these animals have no distinct facial features save for 2 huge eyes and a mouth-like slit. According to most accounts, these creatures are primarily nocturnal and tend to thrive in frigid Arctic waters. Well, I should
with
hope
so. With a face like that, it needs to stay in the darkness.
Yeah. Oh, it apparently likes frigid Arctic waters. What do you think? Yeah, it's down here, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. If it doesn't like it, it's in the wrong place.
You know, I don't think it's looking for a straw hat and a pina colada.
Right.
Now, this other one I love because of the name. The Antarctic Godzilla.
Ah, Godzilla.
And this is a nickname given to the enormous cryptid sighted by the crew of the Soya, which was a Japanese research vessel in Lutzow Bay, Antarctica. Now, this sighting occurred on February 13th, 1958. The massive sea creature has been compared to the fictional Godzilla due to its size and appearance. The sighting was documented in the 1959 book Antarctic Transport by Mitsuji Matsumoto, who was captain of the Soya. So on February 13th, 1958, at about 7 p.m., the crew of the Soya, including the captain, were relaxing on the bridge of the ship when a huge black object appeared on the surface of the sea about 300 meters away. At first, some thought it might be an oil drum abandoned by a vessel ahead of them. An oil drum. But they soon realized that an oil drum could not possibly stand perpendicular to the sea surface in a wind speed of 7 to 8 meters.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
As everyone was watching, this object turned toward the Soya.
Oh, geez.
Like turning around and looking at you.
Like, hey, I see you.
The creature's entire body was covered with approximately 10 centimeters of dark brown body hair.
Ugh.
The head was about 70 to 80 centimeters long and roughly shaped like a cow or a horse. The top of the creature's head was round and monkey-like, and the body hair on the head appeared to be in a bobbed hairstyle. So it looked like Mo or something. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, right.
Is that Pete Rose? You know? It says the creature's eyes were large and its ears were pointed. The engineer who observed this creature more closely discovered that it had a sea bear never heard this word before, but it's the Japanese term for the dorsal plates or spikes of a monster or the dorsal fins of a fish or a whale. So it had this working.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
It also what?
I got to jump in real quick.
Okay.
I Googled this image, and it certainly does have a bob haircut.
Yeah.
They drew it with what it looks like a bad chili bowl. Like, if you just right across the top
So are you looking at the drawing?
Yeah.
Okay, one of the drawings was actually done by Mitsubu. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mitsuji Matsumoto, the captain. He drew it.
Oh, okay.
Because he was trying to describe it to somebody, and so he drew this image and was showing it. So if he saw the bob haircut, he gave his drawing a bob haircut.
Yeah, it's weird looking.
Now, on February 22nd, 23rd in 1950, the Dachi Nishinmaru whaling expedition, sent by a company called Taiyu Fisheries, saw something strange in the Antarctic Ocean. At about 6 a.m., the helmsman spotted a strange creature 80 meters forward on the port side, with its head sticking out 1.5 meters from the sea. He informed the second mate and the radio chief, who were also at the same location, and they saw the same thing. It had a face, this kills me, it had a face resembling a turtle without a beard, as opposed to all those turtles with beards.
Right. The turtles with mine and your face, or the real long Duck Dynasty beard on this turtle.
That's like saying it looks like a human without a horn in its forehead. Like there's a bunch of us walking around like that. Oh, right. I see it now.
Right.
What?
Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean. I can picture that.
Maybe Japanese turtles have beards. I don't know. They say those sea turtles get to be really, really old. Maybe they grow beards.
Long gray beard. Yeah.
That's how you can tell. It's a senior sea turtle. It's got a big beard.
You count the rings on the beard, and you know how old it is.
And it said it had a neck like a 4-dart barrel. I don't know what a 4-dart barrel is. But it was large in relation to the head. So the neck is bigger than the head. There's a term for that. We're not going to say it on this show. It was covered with dark brown body hair with yellow patterns, similar to that of a zebra. And it repeatedly dived and reappeared every minute or two. Now, the radio chief drew a sketch of the creature and showed it to the crew members who had not seen it at breakfast, but none of them knew anything about it. They were like, so now that the radio chief is showing us pictures of weird stuff, we didn't see it, chief. Sorry.
He's drawing a weird cartoon over here. I don't understand.
Your freaky beardless turtle. What the hell is going on?
Why does that turtle not have a beard? Come on, chief.
I never made it without biting. But I mean, that's nuts. I mean, these are eyewitness accounts that are documented of these weird creatures, cryptids, whatever you want to call them, that were seen either, in Antarctica or in the Antarctic Sea right around the continent. So,
I would really believe that there could be sea life that we have never seen before that lives deep in the Southern Ocean around Antarctica, because we don't get down there that often. We get down there probably less often than the deep ocean in other places.
And, it's like when we were talking about the African cryptids, where they are located is so dense and so difficult to explore and research and travel. And it's dangerous as hell. That's what Antarctica is.
Yep.
It's remote. It's difficult. You can't just up one day and decide, hey, I'm going to Antarctica.
Right.
That takes a lot of planning and I'm sure a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's not like going to look for Bigfoot. You can hop on a plane and be in, Montana in a couple of hours.
Yep.
It's a whole different ballgame. So
Get a
there's
backpack, walk out your door. You can look for them.
Yeah. So there's not going to be near as much research. There's not going to be near as many stories. There's not going to be near as many eyewitness sightings of any of this because of the fewer people, which I think makes this all the more incredible.
Right.
Because we have so many stories to talk about from such a small percentage of people that have actually been to Antarctica.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And, and so, especially with these cryptid sightings, they were so, they were so unique, so out of the ordinary that they were documented and even there's books written about them. So I never discount somebody that is willing to put their reputation on the line. And we're talking about the 1950s. I mean, how rich did Matsumoto think he was going to get putting out a book in 1959?
Yeah.
He wasn't getting some kind of $1 million advance to write this book about what he saw. And he wasn't alone. So he wasn't the only one that saw it.
Go on a crazy book tour talking about the Antarctic Godzilla.
But he definitely saw something, and it was powerful enough for him to document his entire experience.
Yep.
And so take all that into consideration, along with all the strange natural phenomena that science can explain that occur there and nowhere else on the planet. I would dare say that there is bound to be an element of truth in all of these stories, whether it's ghosts, whether it's cryptids, whether it's UFOs, whatever, there may be a complete, honest, scientific, natural explanation, but I think the stories are true, at least a good portion of them. So, take that for what you will. I mean, we're talking about a place that I'm never going to get to go.
No,
I'm really not even going to sign up for a chance to go. So,
right.
But it really is fascinating when you start to just look at the continent itself and how unique it is and how much research is still going on there and how many things are still being discovered there. So if you look at this kind of information in 100 years, what are they going to know about Antarctica then?
Right.
What else are they going to discover?
What kind of crazy natural phenomena that defies our understanding of physics and everything happen in Antarctica that we just haven't discovered yet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Could be contributing to some of these weird things that people see.
And I love it because I love the fact that we just don't know everything about the planet we live on.
Right.
We're still learning, still researching, and that is so important.
Yet the hubris of some in the scientific community to say, no, that can't exist because.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Why can't it?
So many things were thought to not exist until they existed.
So I've got a joke about that, but that's a side quest joke. I'm not going to make it.
Okay. So tune into side quest and here's the joke. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been a little bit of a longer one. But let us know what you think. What do you think about Antarctica? I mean, it's a bizarre place. Do you put any credence to these stories? I think I do a little bit.
Yep.
But let us know. And the best place to do that is in our Facebook group. It's called The Graveyard. Thousands of members in there sharing stories and personal experiences every day. Check it out. Check out our website, graveyardpodcast.com. There you can find links to purchase Graveyard Tales merchandise. You can listen to the show, and you can become a patron. And as Adam mentioned, our other show, Side Quest, completely different, completely uncensored, and a heck of a lot of fun. So go check that out for our $10 patrons. But you can also check out our back catalog of tons of bonus content. If you just can't get enough of Adam and myself, cutting up, being ridiculous, talking about haunted stuff, go become a patron. Until next time, we'll save you a seat in the graveyard.
See you soon.